I told my boyfriend he was starting to gross me out and he swore he'd chill, but then he pulled the most disgusting stunt yet and now I can't even look at him without gagging. I, 25F, have been dating James, 25M, for just over a year. We have a really good relationship and we are good with communicating any issues that we have. I am very much in love with him and we are happy. Now, maybe he is very comfortable with me now, which I know is a good thing, but I'm very frustrated and I don't know if it's just me. This is the only issue I have with him. He's just constantly farting and burping and it's starting to really gross me out. It feels stupid to even type that, but it's really become excessive. We are both graduated from school and work full-time. We do not live together, but he is starting to move into my apartment. This started about 5 months into our relationship, and it has gotten progressively worse. He will burp constantly and blow it into my face, to a point where I will start dry heaving, because he thinks it's funny. He does the same thing with farting, always trying to do it on me because he thinks it's hilarious. I know it's normal, I grew up with 4 brothers, but he is constantly forcing it to happen. This is not once or twice. We have spent almost every night together the past 6 months, and it will happen all night. All night long. I have asked him to please stop because I find it really gross, especially the burping because he will do it in my face and it turns my stomach and he will apologize but still continue to do it. Or lean in for a kiss and burp in my face instead, then laugh himself to the point of tears when I act disgusted. I thought maybe, at first, he was just really gassy and I should be more understanding because it's a natural bodily function. He does not do this when we are out to dinner or with friends. A few months ago we went to a wedding together with some members of his family and he accidentally burped really loudly like he normally does when he is alone with me, and our table went really silent and glared at him. I didn't want him to be embarrassed so I high-fived him and said good one. And the whole table started laughing and cheering and he afterwards pulled me aside and said he was thankful I did so, as he was humiliated but I broke the ice. I was a bit drunk and frustrated so I asked him why he does it to me constantly but he wouldn't do it in front of other people. His reasoning is that I am his girlfriend and he should be able to play around with me like that. That I was being a typical girl for finding it rude, uptight, high maintenance. I didn't want to argue about it, so I told him I was none of those things and he knew it. Cut the bull crap, we'll talk about it later when we're sober and just have a fun time at the party for now. And we did. But it never changes. I've tried to make plans to be out of the house when we see each other, because even though it seems ridiculous it's starting to stress me out. I can't talk to any of my friends about it because they think it's so funny. He is a very sweet guy, I like spending time with him, but I feel nauseous when we are alone together because it's just so gross. He is starting to work longer shifts so he wants to stay in a lot most nights to relax. He started doing it during love making, as a joke, and our intimate life has really suffered because of it. A few nights ago he was texting me before he got off work, complaining about his day and he seemed really stressed out so I told him I would come over, and I'll make his favorite, and I'll make him forget about it. So I went over to his house and started cooking until he was off. After dinner he leaned in to kiss me, and I turned my head because I'm so used to him burping in my face. We had an argument because he was accusing me of cheating. We haven't been intimate. I told him it was because of the burping, and he said I needed to get over it, that he was only joking and I was being such a prude. That his girlfriend shouldn't reject a kiss from him yada yada. I told him that I've been saying this is a problem for a while, I don't think it's funny at all. I have thrown up because of it. He started to laugh as I said that. And I just kinda lost it. I don't really yell at people, I am a calm and collected person, so I scared him a bit. I told him it was disgusting and I am getting to the point where I'm no longer attracted to him, that I've been trying so hard to be understanding but it's a two-way street. It wasn't to me about something being gross or funny anymore, it was about respect. He kind of got defensive, trying to throw in how I was overreacting, being ridiculous, but I shut it down and he apologized because he apparently didn't know I felt so strongly about it. He would try not to do it anymore, at all. I don't care that it happens. I only care that he forces it. Now, having talked it out, for the next couple of hours he actually didn't try to burp in my face or fart on me. I was so happy I could enjoy cuddling my boyfriend without trying not to vomit. So I started unzipping his pants, to make him forget about his bad day. You already know where this is going. It's humiliating but I'm going to type it out anyway. As I was trying to go down on him, he pushed my head down so I couldn't get away and tensed up and started farting loudly, while laughing. I was so frustrated I started crying immediately. I think he realized he did something wrong because he let go of my head and tried to hold me and he kept saying I'm sorry, I thought you meant to do it less. I thought it was going to be funny, to break the tension from before. But I got up and left his apartment. That was 2 days ago. He has tried calling and texting me constantly. I have not responded. His messages range from being very apologetic to very angry, back and forth. I don't know what to do and I feel like this relationship is over but I still love him. I feel also really gross and violated in a way. Our mutual friends have been texting me as well asking if everything is okay, and I've tried explaining the situation to my best friend but he found it hilarious. So I'm afraid to explain it to anyone else. This is just so stupid. I literally feel like I'm crazy. Maybe I am uptight etc. I also have a lot of his stuff over here that belongs to him and I'm worried he will come back to get it and I'll have to face him. What should I do? Am I just overreacting? Update, the next day, Thank you for everyone who replied to my original post, and also those who PM'd me. I wasn't really expecting as much support, but I'm glad that I'm not alone. Last night I was pretty miserable and just felt confused and sick about the whole thing. It really helped me deal with what I was feeling and rationalize, reading what everyone had written. I just want to clear a few things up before I get into how this is climaxed for me. My boyfriend did not start out doing this constantly. I remember the first time he did it I was confused and told him right away I'd not like it calmly and he seemed to understand. I have never laughed when he did it purposely. I know the difference between an accident and what he does. A lot of the replies helped me examine my relationship as a whole. We have had other problems that seem to fit the same pattern. He had the same behavior with driving very fast for fun. He had the same issue with playfully pinching and tickling, but he was doing it so hard it would leave bruises. I always expressed that I did not like this, but he was insistent that I was overreacting. When I showed him he was actually hurting me, he stopped completely and never did it since. I didn't think it was an important thing to bring up. I think it's a bit harsh to call him abusive. Because he respected that boundary. I know a lot of people were suggesting that I do the same thing to him, or retaliate in the same way, and it might sound nice to entertain that fantasy, but I'm really not like that. I will never let someone else's actions define who I am as a person. I know I will never try to intentionally hurt someone, and that makes me have faith in myself. A few of you made me really cry because before I wrote my post I was completely unsupported and I felt alone and, well, really ridiculous and dumb. So thank you very much for taking the time to help me, even though I'm a stranger and none of you owe me anything, let alone your time and kindness. Thank you. Now on to today. I have not replied to any of James' messages. I blocked him on all devices. I feel like I basically told him it was over and he knew that. I have messaged a few of our mutual friends back saying that I would really appreciate it if they would just drop it, that everything is okay with me but the relationship is over between us. A post said I didn't have to explain the situation completely, so I did that. They seemed very understanding except one replied saying over a one-time incident? Get real lol, but whatever, so long as you're happy. It didn't really bother me, because I know the truth. It was hurtful that James may have lied, but I'd rather surround myself with people who value honesty. I also invited my best friend over and asked him if he could help me box all of James' belongings, to which he agreed right away. He kept asking me what happened, and if I was okay, so I showed him this post and he was disgusted. He apologized for laughing when I had tried to tell him earlier because he said he didn't know it was so serious. He offered to take James' belongings to him, but I made him promise to not be hostile or I'd ask someone else. He agreed. We spent a lot of the day in my apartment. When the front door opened, it's hard for me to articulate myself, but I'll try to type it exactly as it happened. We both heard it and stopped talking immediately. It was James. I'm not going to lie, I was immediately frightened and maybe I could have handled it better, but I kind of just stood there. I just didn't expect to see him. He has never showed up at my home or work without a warning. My friend asked him what the hell he thinks he was doing here. James kept staring at me and ignored him, saying I thought you were dead or something. Why have you been ignoring me? My friend stepped in front of him and handed him one of the boxes and told him he could take his stuff and leave, that it was over and I didn't want to talk to him. James laughed and made a move towards me and said I needed to talk to him alone, but my friend moved in front of him and told him that he shouldn't be in my house uninvited, that it was illegal and he was going to call the police. Then James got really mad and twisted his face all weird, and I can't explain it, but he started yelling and it was like he wasn't the same person at all. He called me a butt and a cunt and said that I was some ridiculous princess, and he just kept going, my friend telling him that's nice, now you need to leave or I'm gonna make you. And then James threw down his box and punched my friend in the face. I don't remember exactly, but my friend fell back and James came up to me and he grabbed me and started shaking me, saying I was stupid for throwing this all away and that I was probably sleeping with my friend. I was very afraid and I couldn't believe this was happening. My friend got up and grabbed him by the back of his shirt and threw him off me and shoved him out of my apartment. James ran away down the hall kicking people's doors and screaming. My neighbor had come out of his apartment and asked what was going on, and I told him to call the ambulance because my friend was bleeding from his nose. I was so embarrassed. At the hospital I kept embarrassing myself, crying and apologizing to my friend while we were in the waiting room. His nose is broken, he keeps making Owen Wilson jokes and impressions, but he is okay. Now, I am at my friend's house because I am afraid to go home. He said I can stay with him for as long as I need to. I feel really awful that my friend got his nose broken because I was a bad judge of character. I also feel really guilty that I got so scared I just kind of stood there and let my friend get hurt. My friend is taking me to the police station to file a report, but I just want this whole thing to be over. But he is being insistent because I need to do this to ensure my safety. This is my first relationship and I don't even know if this person was real. I didn't think this was even possible to happen. I don't understand what I missed and I feel like I'm vibrating inside because of how frightened I am. I want to go home to my apartment, but I'm afraid he will come back. The way my head is does not make any sense. I feel ashamed even writing all of this because it was from something so small and juvenile, so I don't know, I'm just handling it weird or my head is blowing it completely out of proportion. How do I proceed now, after I file a report? Has anyone been in this same situation before? How do people hide that kind of anger for over a year? Why did this happen? I'm sorry for the questions, but I just can't make sense of my own thoughts right now. Relevant comments. A commenter brings up the fact that she said, I have not replied to any of James' messages. I blocked him on all devices. I feel like I basically told him it was over and he knew that. I have messaged a few of our mutual friends back saying that I would really appreciate it if they would just drop it, that everything is okay with me but the relationship is over between us. James kept staring at me and ignored him, saying I thought you were dead or something. Why have you been ignoring me? Then the commenter says, I'm sorry, but this is unclear. You actually did tell James that the relationship was over, right? While his reaction was obviously negative, I can kind of see why it would be overblown if he finds out that he has been dumped by having his girl's friend hand him a box of his crap and tell him to leave his girl's house. OP, I did not explicitly say it was over, but when I had yelled at him before the BJ incident, I told him I could not handle him doing it to me anymore, etc. But in his texts, between apologies, he said things like have a nice life, you're not going to be hearing from me again. And that he was done with the whole thing and me being ridiculous. I can see what you mean, and that's what I'm worried about. From his point of view, maybe he didn't really mean to act like that at all. Final comment from OP, this was my first relationship, so I wasn't really sure. I guess I didn't have anything to compare it to be like, this isn't quite right, and in that way I suppose I couldn't trust how I felt about it. But he has had quite a few other girlfriends. I guess my mistake was telling myself that he obviously knows better than I do because he has dated prior to me. I don't know why, but it seems still alien for me to think of this as abuse. Especially since he can't defend himself. But I know what you are saying. Thank you for your reply. I will take the things you said to heart and really take this time to look into myself so I can have healthier relationships and be a healthier person. OP saw her story get reposted and makes a new update 9 years later. Things are great. Thank you for your kind words. It's been a trip rereading a post I made a decade ago. A friend of mine actually sent this to me because it reminded them of an anecdote I had shared with them a few years ago. Lo and behold, it was my own words. Rereading it has been a bit harrowing to say the least, but the mindset I had back then was completely different. I was a very meek person and my brothers treated me the same way in my own family dynamic, obviously not with the intimate stuff, but being able to do things that bothered me or hurt me, and I wasn't allowed to complain, so it was normalized for me. To answer your questions, no, my best friend and I did not end up together. We're still very close, but our relationship has always been platonic. I actually helped him with an ex a few years after this, though it consisted of less bodily functions. My gross ex. After this, and despite pressing charges, he did try to harass me for a while, almost a year if I recall correctly. I think he just liked the feeling of making me miserable and couldn't let go or comprehend how I was so thoroughly under his finger, but ended up pushing back. So it was hard for him to relinquish that. Not of me as a person, but of that feeling of control. But for the first time in my life, instead of shutting down, I was actually angry, mostly on behalf of my best friend for being hurt. I knew my friend did not deserve to be attacked like that. I did end up focusing on myself, and I went to therapy, for both the relationship and other factors, family, etc., so I could be a healthier person, as I said in my last comment on that post. I didn't date anyone for a while after, and focused mostly on building friendships and self-reflection. There were a lot of red flags I missed besides the other ones I mentioned in this post, like how he aggressively pursued me, intimate things despite my inexperience, etc. But hindsight is indeed 20/20.